Radio Free Cybertron.
Transformers.
Rewind.
This week on Transformers Rewind, it's Dark Designs, because he's a smirker.
They're playing our song, Megatron. Time to dance.
The Predacons ambush the Maximals and seem to have them pinned down until Rhinox uses some outside-the-box tactics and starts a rock slide that buries the Predacons. Optimus is hurt, and Rhinox steps up to organize the retreat while the Predacons are still trapped. Optimus comments on the impressive leadership skills, but Rhinox says it's not really in his programming. He'd much rather trail along behind and smell the flowers.
There's only one alternative. Attack. We storm that position.
You're on the wrong wavelength there, Lizard Lips! We run!
Oh, yes. And just where do we run, rodent?
It shouldn't be this easy. No, but mustn't complain.
Rhinox, shoot straight for crying out loud! You're missing it by a parsec!
Close the file on Optimus Primal and delete.
Look out!
There's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak.
Megatron is also impressed by Rhinox and gives the matter some thought as he sits under a rock. Tarantulas captures Rhinox, who is bringing up the rear as the Maximals headed home.
The Rhinoceros. I do believe I may have underestimated him. Yes. And I could find a use for someone like that. Tarantulas.
Looks clear. Keep on going. I'll catch up.
When he wakes up, Rhinox is tied down in the middle of another ridiculous Megatron plot device. The machine forcibly reprograms and repaints Rhinox as a Predacon. The Maximals, having noticed his absence a while ago, are finally able to tap into Rhinox's communicator just in time to hear all the plot-relevant details. But Optimus doesn't seem too worried about it. Rhinox is now evil and has free run of the Predacon base. How could this possibly go wrong?
Scorponok! Terror! Pterosaur!
Oh, you're back on their side now? Gee, a guy can hardly keep track.
What's he talking about?
Don't listen to him.
When I slagged you and Bug Eyes, he was watching and smirking.
That's a lie!
Then how come you're looking so shifty all of a sudden?
I am not!
He's a smirker! Mango!
Rhinox episodes really strike me a certain way, and just like the Low Road did it in a really comedic way, this also has its comedic elements, but retains the serious quality with the escalating peril Rhinox is creating. And just the progression of how he's slaughtering his way through the Predacons is just... It really typifies the difference between Beast Wars and G1 for me. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of interesting things, going on in this episode. I mean, one, it's, just seeing Rhinox as sort of an evil version of himself. I think one of the striking things I think is a big difference between, say, G1 and Beast Wars is, the difference between Optimus Prime and Optimus Primal. I think Optimus Prime would have been one of those guys to charge in there and we've got to save him. But Primal's much more contemplative and, a little more thoughtful, and he's kind of like, evil Rhinox, that cannot be good for the Predacons. And so he's apt to get in position and wait for it to really boil over before, charging in. So he's way more thoughtful.
Well, even though the rest of the troops want to, he's like, no, we'll be fine. Let's just wait and see what happens.
Yeah, he totally calls it.
Which is good. It makes him more of a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is that Rhinox also gets it at the very end. He's like, he gets the fact that, he's been changed, and that's not necessarily a bad thing for him. He's like, yeah, see, I guess you should have thought twice about, making me who I am now.
Yeah, he's very comfortable in being evil. He never shows any sign of wanting to be turned good again. You know what I mean? He's like,
makes
this
sense,
is awesome.
because he's evil. Why would you let me out of my cage, and now you're stuck with me, man?
Right after he shoots Megatron's knees out.
Yeah, and this even and this comes back, of course, when you get around to Beast Machines, and he becomes Tankor, and that is a whole different thing. But yeah, and there's a lot going on in this episode. Rewatching it, I was reminded how much is really going on here. This was one of the first episodes where we had a really big fan reference. I think that the gap between when the series started and they really kind of got into some of the lore as a reference to, of course, the Insecticons and Shrapnel and the Generation 1 stuff.
You're talking about the part where Waspinator kind of goes a little nuts and starts really rambling out a buttload of stuff. You're like, whoa.
It's also one of the first times that a fan is mentioned in Beast Wars. One of the first of the many references that would come when Waspinator says Black Retina says Waspinator's wacko. He says, "No, I'm Wonko the Sane." Well, Wonko the Sane, of course, is a character from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but it was also Benson Yee's. It was his ATT handle, I believe, at the time. So that was a reference to Benson Yee. So it was one of the first times that a fan was actually referenced. Of course, at the time, Ben was contributing to the series as well. He was the first person that Larry and Bob found to just give them information or whatever for the show. But yeah, there's just a lot going on in the episode on the side, but definitely an awesome Rhinox episode. And I think one of the things that always strikes me is the end of the episode, where they're all sort of gathered around and they're like, so what was it like being a Predacon? And, Rhinox makes the analogy that was like being 2 gigs of attitude and
3 gig hard drive.
And a 2 gig hard drive. And they're like, haha, that's funny, those silly Predacons. And then it backs up and there's Dinobot, and it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Very friendly. You kind of for being
a bunch of jerks.
Yeah, it really does. It kind of makes them seem like jerks. Holy crap.
That's cool. Looking at in the past when we review G1 episodes and you look at how many characters in the episode, it's 30. And watching a Beast Wars episode reminds me how a small cast did this series so many favors, because almost every episode they take time and they focus on the character. And so this one really painted Primal in a good light. It made Dinobot interesting. It made Rhinox scary. And everybody was kind of in character and got a little bit of their spotlight. Even Scorponok seemed somewhat threatening in the big fight scene at the end, when usually he's kind of played for laughs. He actually beat somebody up. I forgot who it was, but he actually held his own. So that's one of the things that I miss about Beast Wars. You get a little bit of it right now in Prime, but the small cast is a really great feature of this series, and you kind of see it in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
The fight at the end of the episode really had a lot going on just by itself. There's the Indiana Jones reference where Primal's swinging his swords all over the place and making silly noises, and Megatron and shoots him. But then it comes back around later, and Primal cuts Megatron's arm off, his dinosaur head.
Yes.
Which stays missing till the end of the episode. I mean, there was just a lot packed into that fight sequence all around the short time the machine was starting to explode. And I mean, it's the typical Dinobot thing too, where they're maybe just barely taking the advantage in the fight, and he wants to stay and try to capture the base. But Optimus, being Optimus, is like, no, that's a bad idea. The thing's about to explode, and they're probably going to clobber us afterward. Let's get Rhinox and just leave.
Mm-hmm.
It's that great difference in thinking between the characters. And I really love the way Beast Wars is written, where everybody does have their specific personality that they stick to go on with that. You can really get a feel for who every one of them is. Scorponok, who is probably the least developed of any of the Beast Wars characters, he got his moment earlier after he gets out of the repair thing, and he's sitting there explaining to Megatron what's been going on. He's like, I looked up and wham! You just feel so sorry for him in that moment, and it's really great that they can do that.
And then, as you mentioned, he gets the classic line in where Rhinox is standing between Scorponok and Pterosaur, and he's like, he was standing there laughing at you, he was smirking, and he's a smirker! Love that line.
Mangle!
Killer.
Well, and it's, it's Rhinox's intelligence with all the good way to try to kind of deal with him earlier, and Rhinox threatened to turn him into chicken wings. So when Megatron orders Pterosaur to come after him, then later, Rhinox turns like, "Oh, you're on their side again?" Get confused at this rate. He's really ignoring Scorponok on the other side. I really love this episode.
It's a great. It really is a great episode.
Yeah,
especially for that in the Beast Wars.
What was Primal's plan if Rhinox had not been turned back into normal Rhinox? Was he just going to wait for evil Rhinox to kill everybody and then go in and take care of him?
I would assume so. Yeah.
I guess the contingency plan would be to wait until the situation is weakened inside and then try to reverse the effect of the machine themselves.
So it's just evil Rhinox, like, gnawing on a bunch of corpses, and then they just back him off.
I don't think they would have fared that much better against evil Rhinox than the
They just would have left. They just would have made sure, well, there's only one life form in there. Pretty sure it's Rhinox. We're going to leave now.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll just
leave well up enough and not alone, because if he just dispatched all of the Predacons, and he's probably going to do the same to us, too.
And you get the clue from Russian, too. If Rhinox had not accidentally stepped into the machine, he probably would have taken over the base all by himself.
Yeah. With a bunch of dead bodies around. Oh, what a great kids show.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
This is why Beast Machines is a little bit more darker than the other versions of Transformers.
Yeah. Like, I'm not interested in taking over. I'm interested in killing everybody.
Yeah. I do love the other thing, though, that Primal mocks Megatron in this as well.
Yeah.
He mocks it, yes.
It doesn't take itself too seriously. They definitely have moments where they can, laugh at each other, and you laugh with them knowing that they are mocking that, and they just roll with the punches. It's great.